Okay. There's everybody's there. Okay. Okay, Eva, are you there?
Yes, I am here.
Okay, I don't know what happened.
Yeah, it was weird.
Nobody.
Some people are saying they can't get in. I just told Heather to try again. I just got in.
Yeah, me too.
It was weird.
That was really weird. Okay, hold on. Phone, so it just takes me a second to figure it out. Hold on. The speaker view. Let's see. Recording, advanced setting. Oh, I hate this. Okay. Is it on speaker view? Can you see me?
Yes, I can see you.
Okay.
Yep.
So is it?
I can't now, but I was.
All right. Hold on. I'm just trying to figure this out.
Okay. Now I can see you. Now
Wait a second.
Your volume is low.
Mine is. Hold on. Hold on. Sorry, guys. Okay, is that any better?
I can see you. I can hear you.
Okay, I've got it up as high as I can. Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
All right, I don't know how to do speaker view. Computer. Let me go on my phone.
Have to mute a bunch of people.
All right, a minute.
Anytime in your life, did you ever think you'd be worried?
Okay, hold on. Unmute. Okay, there. Are you there, Eva?
Yes.
Okay, I muted everybody except you.
Yep, I'm in. I'm good.
Your spotlight is going back and forth, Shannon.
Sorry. I know how to like change it whenever we do the recording. Okay, here we go. So we'll go ahead and start. Tonight we are going to actually talk about leading your downline. And Robin is probably on here, but it's our night. So we're going to actually teach you about leading your downline. And I'm going to ask you a few questions that I want you to really think about. Eve and I are going to cover these in depth. But the first thing is going to be, as a leader or someone that you're getting ready to recruit and you're going to have people underneath you, these are things that you will deal with, but we want to go ahead and get out of the way. But the first thing is, have you ever gotten frustrated because your new recruits aren't very motivated to build their own teams? That's going to be one of our first questions. The next one's going to be questioning, have you ever questioned your own leadership ability in terms of helping people on your team see success? Okay. The third one's going to be, have you ever felt lost when it comes to leadership and the role that you should be playing in helping others build their business? And the fourth thing we'll be talking about tonight is going to be, have you ever wanted to find a way to be able to work your business at the same time, but you're not exactly where to help others to start? So we are going to talk about all four of these tonight. And I'm going to go ahead and start with Eva with our first question that we have. So take it away.
So the first question was the getting frustrated with building their own teams. Was that the first question? Oh, I can't hear you now.
Yeah.
Okay. So you have to remember that when you're building these teams, you know, you're sponsoring people, your people are sponsoring people. That's what you're hoping for, right? So you have to communicate and you have to ask questions. You have to find out what their goals are. You don't want to assume that what they want is the same thing that you want, right? You have to go in and listen and find out, is this a hobby? Do they want to make money with this? You know, what is their, not necessarily their why, but, you know, where they see themselves going with this. It doesn't mean that just because they tell you today that, oh, I'm just going to do this as a hobby, that it's going to stay that way. We all know that, right? So don't let that frustrate you, because recently, you know, someone in my downline who really wanted to promote, and she didn't. And she was like, you know, some of these people said they were going to do this and they were going to put in their orders, and they didn't. I didn't promote. And it's like, I know, trust me. Like, there are times when I feel the same way. There are a lot of people out there, consultants, directors, where you get frustrated because you feel like some of your success lies in the hands of some of these other people. But at the end of the day, you can't control what they do. You really can't. All you can do is try to encourage them to do the best that they can do based on what they're wanting, right? What they're saying they want. So you have to talk to them about that. You have to find each other's strengths and bonding. You need to bond with these people, you know, find out like what's their thing, right? What is their thing that they love? Is it Ray Dunn? Is it golden retrievers? Is it saving kittens? I don't know. But you have to find out what it is that they love, and you bond with them on that. And, you know, talk with them. You need to, like I said, ask questions about their goals, tell stories. You know, we've heard this before, the whole tell stories, you know, the information tells, but stories sell. Same thing with your personal stories. Share with them things where you guys can bond together. And you want them to feel like you're working on this journey together, that you're not, you know, you're leading, but you're doing this together. You don't want them to feel like they're following you, right? And open up to these people, share with them your feelings, because when you do that, that builds a trust with them. And I think that was what I wanted to share with that first part, with connecting with your downline. Connecting.
Another thing that we were going to talk about that is the connections are so important. So at the very end of our call, we're actually going to have some connection homework for you, just to let you know. We're not going to let you out without having any homework. Robin would be proud of us.
Yes.
Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk about, as you have questions, write them out and we'll answer them. But have you ever seen your own leadership ability in terms of helping people in your team see success? And there's all kinds of leaders out there. There's empower leaders, there's cheerleaders, there's teachers, there's inspirational leaders, and there's different times in your business where you're going to actually step foot in each one of those roles. One of them is going to be your calling. One of them happens to be the one that you are truly passionate about and the one that you really need to be. So that's fine, because some people, I mean, there's leaders underneath me that are truly just, I'd say motivational leaders. Like, they just go, 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 go. So they don't really have a lot of, I don't want to say a lot of heart in the, they have heart, but they see the business side of it so much that it's motivating. Where there's someone like me, I believe I'm more inspirational, where I try to inspire you and I meet you where you are. And like Eva, I think Eva, Rob, and I are a lot alike, where we understand that there are going to be hills and valleys in your business. And we're not going to try and push you to get sales whenever there's a hurricane, but, you know, coming our way. So there's all kinds of different kind of leaders. But the one thing I wanted to talk to you about is when I first started, I wish I would have known this. So I think this is some good stuff for you guys to know. But there's such thing as a thermostat leader and a thermometer leader. And I don't know how many of you have ever heard of that before. But so I'm going to have to make a joke. Everybody knows, if you are married or if you have a man in your life, or, you know, someone who's absolutely crazy about the temperature in the house, which happens to be my husband, they're always looking at the thermostat right whenever they first walk into the room. The house from work, first thing they do is go to the thermostat, make sure nobody's played with it. There's actually a really funny cartoon, Family Guy, where Meg happens to turn the thermostat, but then it shows all the houses in the neighborhood with all the men jumping off of the couch, like, somebody touched the thermostat, somebody touched the thermostat. So the reason that a thermostat leader happens to be someone who always knows what's going on in their group. They know if recruiting, if they are, if their sales are good, if people are following up, if there's bookings that are happening, and they're watching Facebook and they're trying to take, you know, the temperatures every day. of what their group. Thermostat leaders are very, very good because you always know what's going on, okay? A thermometer leader is someone who I believe I was like in the very beginning when I first became a director. I had no idea what I was doing. I mean, some of the people on here laughing, I had no idea what I was doing. So if we had like 3 months of not recruiting or 3 months of, no sales, but maybe my business was going just fine, recruiting and I was selling, but all of a sudden 3 months go by and I'm like, whoa, we're not recruiting, we're not selling. We need to get a challenge. We need to find out what's going on. So a thermometer leader would be someone who takes a temperature whenever they feel like it's either cold or it's too hot. So if your kid comes in and says, I think I have a fever, you're going to take the temperature and you're like, yeah, you're too hot, 102 degrees. But you didn't catch those fever symptoms and you didn't catch those cold symptoms before the fever escalated. So that would be something that a thermometer leader would be. So the best thing for you to do in a business, as far as whether you are a trainer, whether you're an empowerer, whether you are a teacher, whatever it is that you are, you need to become a thermostat leader. And that is where you know what is going on in your team. And, when you get to a point whenever you have hundreds under you or thousands or whatever it is, you're not going to be able to know every single person's life and what's going on with them. And so I don't mean a thermostat that way, but as you're growing, it's very important to have that connection to where you do know the things about them, because the people that are going to grow with you in the very beginning are the ones that are going to help you rise. They're going to rise along with you with people underneath them, and you teach them these principles. But if all of a sudden you just look at your numbers and you look at your group and you're like, we haven't recruited in like 3 months, it's going to be super hard to get them motivated whenever you haven't been doing that along the way. And that is that I have learned, and something I feel like I could really share with you, because I made so many of not understanding exactly what a thermostat was. Does that make sense to you? So that's going to be your goal, is really, take the temperature every single day on your team and what's going on. I don't care if you have one person. If you have one person underneath you, you find out what's going on, what can be done, what y'all can do together to be able to, create success in that team. Because if you can get them in line with you, they're going to start recruiting. They're going to start wanting to share this business. It's going to become a passion in them that burns really deep, and they're not going to help but be able to share it. So that's really important whenever it comes down to what kind of leadership you should have. As long as you know what's going on, you know that your team's recruiting, or you know that your team is selling, or you know your team's booking, you can tell, are we going to hit the numbers this month? Kristen, I have to shout her out. She's someone who's me. She can look at her numbers and say, okay, close to director, and this is how much we need to get director numbers. This is how much she needs to get superstar consultant numbers. This is how much she needs to get star consultant numbers. And she will take the people in the group and divide it up by how many sales each person needs to get in order to get this. But you have to remember, there's an 80-20 rule where your team is really going to do most of that work that you get paid off of. So you've really got to concentrate. No, not every single person might put in $1,000. Not every single person is going to put in $100. But if you're a thermostat, you know what's going on in their lives, you're going to be able to know who to focus on. So I hope that makes sense. But that is, I think that is going to be a way that you can actually be a better leader in guiding your downline. Okay, you're up, Eva.
For whatever reason, when you're talking, it keeps like crackling and breaking up. I don't know why it's doing that. Does anybody else hear that, or is it just me? Like a bunch of crackling? I don't know.
Yes, I hear it too.
Okay. Okay, it's like crackling sound. I'm not sure where it's coming from. I didn't know if it was just me or what that was. Billy had asked a question.
Somebody muted. It was somebody like typing or something. All right, go ahead.
Oh, okay. So Billy had said, hold on one second. She had said, what if you reach out and they don't answer you when you try to reach out to them? Sometimes, and I guess too, it would depend on how. I knew sometimes, like if you reach out to someone on Facebook Messenger, sometimes they see it, they mean to come back to it, they don't, right? I would reach out to them again and say, hey, I'm not sure if you saw that I reached out to you. I mean, I guess I wouldn't assume right away, but if you've reached out 2 or 3 times and they're not getting back with you. And honestly, and I'm bad with this too. If I have to send something that is, I think, important enough that I need to show proof to Sensi that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing on my end. We need to try to send it through our workstation, through that email, through our workstation, because they can go in and look at that. They can see that we're communicating with them and doing our part. We've been there. I know Shannon, Rob, and I have been there. You reach out and you ask, you offer help. They say nothing. So, if you have proof of that, then that's about all you can do. Again, it's kind of the whole, you can lead the horse to water, right? But if they don't respond, they don't respond. You do the best you can do. Shannon, the next one was the, have you ever felt lost with your leadership role? Was that the next one? Right. So I think with that, it comes down to 3 things that can really help you with that, not feeling lost. One is communication. One is making this duplicable, where they feel like they can do this too, and being consistent. So with your communication, first of all, you want to, it's important to connect with them. Doesn't have to be every day, but checking in, just saying hello for no reason. Like, I hope you're having a great Friday, things like that. Asking them, do they need any help with anything? You would be surprised how many times, and I've felt like I've failed as a leader where, I haven't reached out to people in forever just to say, hey, how are you doing? Is there anything I can help you with? What, I know I haven't touched base with you in a while. And they're like, oh my gosh, yes, thank you so much. And I'm talking like directors even. I have this going on, I have that going on. Thank you so much for reaching out to me. Sometimes you just never know unless you ask, but communicate. And this is like a big, big no-no. You don't want to only communicate with them when you want to know what. Do you have an order going in? How much are you putting in? Things like that, because you don't want it to seem that way. You don't want to not talk to them all month and then 2 days before the end of the month, hey, you need to get your $200 in. You're going to be going inactive. Or, and I've learned this firsthand. I had a frontline director. She's no longer a frontline director. She's getting paid as a certified consultant because she allowed her communication to fail with her downline. She always made it about her. And they saw through that and they got frustrated with it. She probably had a group of 50 or so, and many were her frontline. She is now down to 3 frontline. That's it. 3 frontline. They all got tired of it. They got tired of it. Now, hopefully none of you do this, which I would think you wouldn't, because we invited some pretty amazing leaders in here. But, to say, what are you putting in? If I don't hit my numbers this month, I'm not gonna be able to pay my rent. Like, who does that, right? She did that. Only reaching out when she wanted to know what they were doing and what they were putting in, and it being all about her. Never reached out to anyone as far as concern for them, bonding with them. Yeah, and you know what? She was $100 away from hitting director as far as group sales goes. She had $1,400 in sales in, but guess what? She needed 2 active frontline. She only has 3 frontline, period. One of them was active, one had nothing in, and one had $35 in. That was it. And I've explained to her, these are the things that need to follow through. And she seems to have no interest. And she does ignore my messages too. So you know what? I help the ones that want to be helped. Being duplicable. You don't want to make it seem like you are Wonder Woman, like this is something that only Wonder Woman can do, right? You want it to be like it's something they can also do themselves. You have to make it seem easy. We all know it takes work, right? But you don't want to necessarily show them at times your frustration, because then they're like, oh, wow, that's too hard. I can't do that. If you're doing things, and Shannon and I were talking about this earlier, you're doing things now when you have 4 or 5 people, can you do that when you have 2,000, 5,000? You never know. It could be that high someday. You have to be able to make it so that they can do it as well. Don't make it where they look and say, oh, I can never do that. I can't do that. I can't afford to give those gifts, right? Some of the best recognition is shout outs and things like that. They love that. Jason Harwood even talked about that one time. It's a big deal. Like Orville and Heidi go live and they're like giving shout outs to people who promoted and did this and that and clapping. I mean, that's a big deal. It doesn't have to be some expensive gift. And being consistent. You definitely want to be consistent with what you're doing. They get used to you doing one thing, and then you're not doing it anymore, and they're like, wonder why she isn't doing that anymore. Definitely need to be consistent, continuous with what you're doing. And like, if you're doing team newsletters, keep doing your newsletters. Because I can tell you what, when I stopped, they were like, where's the team newsletter? Well, I would put something in the newsletter to see who read it and have them respond based on something I asked in there. Nobody was reading it. And I think there's a way you can check to actually see who's reading it and who's not, correct? I think there is a way. And I just recently, what I did was I'm trying to focus on, now some of your groups, aren't as big yet, but you definitely want to build up from the bottom up, build these people up, set aside times to talk to them and make it work, whether it's through Marco Polo, texting, Facebook, phone calls, meeting up face to face, but you definitely have to manage your time, set limits, and don't let the time that you spend talking with them be a rant, right? About what they're not happy with, things like that. It has to be productive, and you have to let them know that there's a limit. I remember Jason and I would talk once a month when I was headed towards Superstar Director, and it was like we were going to talk at this time. It was going to be a half an hour. That was it. He had another meeting. He was going to the next thing. So it's a business thing. It's not just the chit chat part. That's for another day. You guys want to meet for coffee or tea or whatever, but you got to set your boundaries there. So the communication, make sure you're communicating, make it duplicable, and be consistent. Shannon, did you want to add anything into there?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. I don't hear the text. I think somebody was on their keyboard. Well, one thing that we were talking about earlier, because this is like mine, and I don't know how many of you guys have kids on here, but I'm going to use a kid because I have 4 kids. And so when she's talking about being, duplicatable, in the very beginning, when I first started, I became a director and hit certain goals and people would hit certain things, I would give pretty big gifts. But then as we grew and we hit like 100 or 1,000 or whatever, I'm like, I can't be doing that. I'm going to go broke. And so the thing that we started those cards and shout outs, things like that. But whenever you start out a certain way, it's an expectation that happens where entitlement can occur. And something I wish I would have known early on was to be duplicatable, because if someone underneath me became a director and they saw that I was giving gifts and fun things to people and they didn't feel like they could do it, why would they want to be a director, right? But see, I didn't have that guidance, and I didn't know until we started these leadership programs, and I'm like, whoa, did I mess up? But some people got some really good stuff along the way. So that was something that you need to be duplicatable. But the analogy I'm going to use about the kids, that happens to be, I have 4 kids, and I have a joke that with my first child, Peyton, whenever she was born, I never put her down. I carried her around everywhere I went. I loved her. I coddled her. Every time she'd cry, I'd pick her up. If anything was wrong, I would be like right there with her. I was just 24/7 mom, where I never put her down. So because I never put her down, she did not walk as fast as, she should have. And I was like, I wonder why she's not walking. I wonder why she's not walking. And my mother-in-law would be like, because you freaking hold her all the time. She's never had a chance to use the legs that God gave her. So there would be this thing in my head where I was like, oh, well, I guess I'm keeping her from being able to walk. So then the second child comes, and I'm not holding them as much, right? I'm like, oh, okay, well, with Peyton, I held her too much and she didn't walk. So I'm just going to, kind of do a little bit more of this instead of that and see if they can walk faster. But I was still that spot on mom. When they would fall, I'd grab them. I wouldn't let them cry it out at night. I'd have them in my bed. I would do everything I could to appease them. Then third child came, and I'm like, okay, well, that didn't work with Caden. So, all right, I'm going to try and let her cry it out at night. So we'll do it like every other night, or I won't hold her as much. And then the fourth kid came, and I'm like, okay, you guys help me take care of this one. There's no blood, no broken bones. She's okay. Why don't you go check on her? So being duplicatable happens to be that I could not hold every single kid like all the time when I had all 4 kids. I could not give every single one of them my 24/7 attention like I did my first one. And my first director underneath me, and probably my first person who ever signed up underneath me, I held her hand so much. Like, if she needed something, I'd find it for her. If she wanted something done with her team, I would run the meeting. I mean, I just did every single thing for her. And what happened was she never became a strong leader. She was scared to lead because I was doing everything for her. So I learned the hard way again. Isn't it great to have like wisdom being passed down of all the mistakes that we make? So you guys, we've trailblazed the way. But I learned that you've got to delegate. You've got to be able to guide them to find the things. So if someone contacts you and says, what is the requirement to be able to become a superstar consultant? Then you can challenge them and say, you know what? Why don't you find it and put it on the page? And that would be a learnable and a teachable moment for you and the people on our page to be able to learn what are the requirements of being a superstar consultant. Instead of me just shooting over to her, you have to have 6,000 group wholesale volume and, 3 active people underneath you. Do you see what I'm saying? So being duplicatable doesn't have to do with just the gifts. Postcards and shout outs are great. But it has to do with doing the work for them, giving them work, making sure they delegate, making sure that they reach down to their team members and they get to know their team members. Because when you start to get people underneath you that you reach out to and they don't respond, then that's going to tell you right then and there that they're not going to be someone that you want to work with. You're going to want to go down deeper than that and find out who is putting in the $500, who is recruiting, who is putting in the $2,000, who is promoting, and you work with them. And yeah, the other people are going to move up as the people that you work underneath them do. And hopefully they'll just like wake up and be like, hey, I'm going to work this as a business, or they will decide that it's not for them. But when you handhold too much and you're not duplicatable, you will create a person who is so clingy and someone who needs you, and they're emotional vampires that you won't be able to breathe because they don't know how to move without watching you move first. You don't want to do that. So early on, as you're recruiting people and you're teaching people how to be leaders and you're teaching people how to, train their new people, delegate, make sure they understand it so they can come back to you and check in with you and have that accountability. Because if you do it for them, then you're never teaching them how to fish. Instead, you're fishing for them. Okay.
I just thought of something. I guess it could be considered a little white lie. But the next time that somebody like reaches out to me and asks me a question that they probably should already know, like, I don't know, something simple like rustic jack or something, you reach out, is rustic jack sold out? So, you know what? I'm not sure. Been really busy this morning doing this and that. But you know what? Why don't you check on the news tab, see what you find out, let me know. Because I haven't had a chance to look yet. Let them go find it. And there was something I read and I brought it up here because I thought it was awesome. This thing here about, let's see. Oh, the lead don't pressure. Okay. Lead don't pressure. It says effective leadership doesn't involve pressuring or bribing people to success. So like the bribing, that's like, oh, I'll give you this if you do that, right? No, don't do that. You're creating a monster. Leading is about successfully working the business so that your new prospects, will want to follow you on their own accord. It's about making personal relationships with people so that they can ask you questions, but provide the information and tools they need, and then inspire them by successfully demonstrating the example yourself. So that's important. And that goes back to what Shannon was saying, guiding them into the right place, because you will create a monster. I've done it where they always come to me and they ask me, and I know they haven't looked. And let me tell you something, sometimes it's a blessing when you're not able to look at your phone. I can tell you right here, and it's probably happened to some of you, it's happened to Shannon. Someone messages you and you're not able to get back to them right away because you are doing something, right? And then when you do finally look and you see, they're like, oh, I found it, never mind. Yeah, because you let they had to try to figure it out on their own. You weren't there to spoon feed them. So,
and one thing I believe that I'm going to kind of expand on that. I had, a couple of people under me at one point where if I did not respond, in a timely manner. They go, oh, you're just too busy for me. Oh, you're too this. Oh, you're too do that, you know? And it made me feel so bad that I made sure that I was accessible at all times. This is like 10, 11 at night when they'd be like, oh, I got to message her back, or she's going to think that she's not important to me. That was so bad because I was her that she had to be accessible to people that were texting her. So instead, I should have let her know you are a priority, but right now this comes first. Not that I'm too busy for you. It's just that my priorities are lined up. And I wish I would have done that, because instead they would throw that back out at me about being too busy. And then I would create that and stay on that same hamster wheel of everything. And now I have a rule that there's no Cincy emergency after 8 o'clock at night. I don't care what it is. If it's end of month, that's an exception, because if I'm up, I'll let you know in my team I'm up. But other than that, they know not to contact me after 8 o'clock at night. You know, like if we're friends and stuff, we're talking, that's different. But people who call about business questions and do that, they know that that's not good, because for so many years, I let that happen. And I feel like another thing with newsletters, I used to have a team newsletter like all the time. I used MailChimp, and it would hurt my heart because I would send out so many and then say this many were opened up or this many were read. And then I understood that email and that texting and Marco polling and all these other things are becoming better. So I started texting and I started one-on-one people, but then we started growing really fast. And the people who were actually reading the newsletter were like Eva said, what happened to our newsletter? I used to look forward to our newsletter. So it's like a hard place. So what you need to do is be that thermostat leader and do a poll on your page and say, hey guys, what do you like? Newsletters, text, which way is the best way to be able to let you know what's going on besides the news tab on Cincy? That's thermostat leader. You're finding out from everyone what works out instead of trying these things and getting frustrated, because that creates the frustration that we have. Another thing that happened to me, which really, really ruffled my feathers, was I would do shout outs on the page about the top 5, the top this with directors and that and all this stuff. And I would have other people message me because there was one girl who was the top 1 and 2 every single month, like for a long time. And other people would message me and go, you know, it's not fair that you always shout her out. It's making us feel really bad. It's not fair that her team has, you know, this much sales. It's making us feel really bad. So of course, the heart kind of leader that I am, like, oh, well, I don't want to make them feel bad. So I quit doing it altogether because I was scared that I was creating a competition. And what happened to the person who was hitting all and getting the shout outs, all of a sudden anymore, made me look like I don't care. Made me look like I didn't want her to grow. And so you've got to be that thermostat leader to find out, do you guys like these shout outs? Do you guys like this? Because you got to do what you need to do as far as a leader. But if you want to be able to create that culture of no competition and for people to lift each other up and for people to inspire each other, you've got to know the temperature of your team. And a tip that I want to tell you guys is treat every single person in your team like they're going to be your next superstar, but you work with them like they're going to quit tomorrow. That's really important. So you treat them like they're going to be a superstar. Or a hobbyist, I don't care if they are going to be a director.
Yeah, that's powerful. That's really powerful.
Yeah, I try and treat every single person the same way. Now, if I know that their numbers are going to get to superstar consultant or director, of course, I'm going to right there in them and help them be able to guide the leaders that they have underneath them. But I try not to ever make anyone feel that way. And that is why I took away who it was that was number 1 and number 2 and number 3. Now I just say, here's our top 10. Here's our top 20. And it doesn't create that friction anymore. So you got to do what you feel led to do. But I'm just telling you some of the mistakes that I made, some of the things that really pulled my business because I didn't understand how to take the temperature or be a thermostat, not take temperature. I did that a lot. But being a thermostat, being able to feel the way of what is going on and what's the vibe of what's the culture of your team? You know, do you guys lift each other up? Do you inspire? Do you have people putting motivational things on there? Because when they feel led and they're passionate about what they do, they're going to want to put their 2 cents out there, and they're going to want to put those motivational things out there and search for me. And I had this party, and you got to shout everybody out. And that's what we're trying to recreate, because it took me years to be able to get the culture that we have, because I thought we had it, but when I didn't have that thermostat kind of thing going on, it broke apart. And now I would not it for anything in the world. I love our group more than anything, but it took having to break and be, built back together even better. So I hope that.
And something I want to add to that, as far as someone, I kind of saw something pop up in the chat as far as it not being a mistake, but it's a learning curve. And it really is, we kind of learn as we go. And what I used to do in the very beginning was, it was simple. And I would say, oh, whoever's top sales for the month, I was going to give them a $25 Scentsy gift certificate. Did this for months. And I noticed the same person was winning every month. And I remember Chuck Thompson said something one time, something about competition does not foster generosity, something to that nature. I remember him saying those words, and I slowly saw it start to pan out, because what was happening was this. If you're always playing the game and you never win, or you never feel like you have a chance to win or be recognized, you don't want to play anymore. And that's what ends up happening if you feel like you're always the loser. So if you're always like recognizing that top person, that can happen. And it did. I saw it start to happen. So what I've learned over time is what I do sometimes during, just like when Scentsy does things for us, when we need an incentive type of thing during slower months, I might say, hey, for every, person you sponsor this month who becomes active, your name's going to go into the drawing, or 2 entries in. For 500, your name will go in 1 time, for, little things like that. So it's like, and what I think's awesome is when someone that has $3,000 in, they don't win, but the person that put in 500 did, like they're happy. They only put in 500 and they recruited 1 person, but their name got pulled. They love that. It shows everybody like, hey, I have a chance. I have a shot. And the other thing too, and everybody's different, but when you get to a point where you're recognizing your top 10 or, whatever, I do include myself in there, because you'd be surprised, because I've heard this several times. It comes back to me secondhand, where people will say, oh, well, she just has to sit back. She doesn't do anything. She gets paid on us anyway, right? No, I'm working my business too. I'm busting my butt too. I'm trying to put in my 2,000 or more PRV, right? So, but I have a rule for myself. If I am number 1 in sales, my name doesn't go on the list. It just doesn't, because I don't get any gratitude or good feeling about taking that spot from somebody. That's just me. But if I am in there, even in 2, 3, 4, 10, 15, I put my name in there because I'm within the C. Oh, Eva's leading, she's sponsoring, she's selling, and she's still doing these things. And my directors that are in there, their names all go in there too. So their downline can see what they're doing. And it helps, and it builds everybody up. But that's how I do mine.
And there's different ways that you can do it. I mean, I do mine a little bit differently. I don't put my name in mine anymore, because there's different ways that people view things. Some people say, oh, there's other people that say, oh, you're just getting paid on us. I mean, you're never, ever going to
make everybody happy. You cannot.
And my directors, I mean, sometimes they're like, I want to do my own shout outs. I don't care if like we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
And one thing I do with my directors is I'll let them do their own shout out for their team. And then find out that that's not happening, then I can work with my director, or either I can ask them to shout out your team as well. Because there's so many things, so many little things that happen to you as you grow, that you're going to be able to go back to the call and say, oh, that happened. Now, and the way that you handle it, how the culture of your team responds to it. There's that noise again.
Crackling. Yeah, it's like a crackle.
If somebody's typing, hold on.
No, it's like when you talk, your voice crackles.
Yeah.
It's almost like something's disconnected. It's like a disconnection. It's weird.
I know.
And is it doing it when I talk too?
Yeah. Well, there it is again. I don't know what it is. Hear it? Hear it?
Yeah. So when I'm talking, does it do it?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yes. Okay.
So just a little
That's
bit.
So weird. I'm like, now it's not, but it goes.
Well, anyway,
Weird.
so that will go into the next thing, which is, oh, that's driving me crazy. I have no idea what it is.
Why is it doing that?
I don't know. There's nothing here. Anyway, so the other thing we were going to say happens to be with how do you run a team to be able to run your business? It's worse. Maybe I should talk.
I know. Maybe you shouldn't talk.
There's no mic.
I
There's
think
no.
when
I don't know what it could be. There's not any 2 mics in here. I don't know. Okay, maybe I'll stop. But the other thing happens to be like the balance. You know, you got to figure out your balance. When you become a leader, you are gonna. There's something that I think we did this already, but I'm just going to true, yeah. I'm just going to like maybe reiterate it because I can't remember if we did it or not. But figuring out your balance, that's going to be like your time management, where you look at what you do in your business and you write down every single thing you do with your business and with your team. And then you write down, is it income producing for you or is it time sucking for you, basically? And that's going to help you be able to balance your team as well. And you'll be able to find things like Monday is motivation day, Tuesday is team day, Wednesday is going to be when you do your follow-ups with your customers. Thursday is going to be whenever you deliver your basket parties or pick up your basket parties. And Friday might be the day that you're in your office all day, putting your own orders. You're going to have to find that balance. So a lot of people will say, how do you work your own business and lead a team? First of all, you've got to always take care of you first. You have to. It's just like that plane with the oxygen mask coming down. You have to put the oxygen mask on you first before you can take care of anyone around you. So you have to take care of your sales. You have to take care of your customers. You got to take care of your hostesses and your new recruits that you're trying to, add to your team and the people that you just trained. And then you have your team stuff. But if you will just divide it up by day, or even if you do power hours and have certain, times that works for you, you will be able to find and glide into being a director easier than anything. Because most of us, and I don't know if I'm speaking for Eva or not, maybe, but we get to this place of superstar director where we have to manage all these directors and we have to manage all this stuff. And we're like, what in the world? What am I doing? When you become a director, like, what do I do now? How do I do this? I've only known how to take care of my business. I don't know how to take care of a team, but you always still have to take care of that business first, because you have to have that 500 in order to be a leader. You have to be able to hit those group wholesale volumes. So you got to take care of your team. And you have to be able to grow and add people yourself and go wide and deep. So that's my part about the balance. And if you have family and you have different things in your life, I always tell everyone that I put, my devotion time first, and then it's my, husband and my family, and then it's my business. And that's how it is every single day. I won't pick up my phone in the morning until everybody's off to school, because I know it's going to distract me and I know it's going to screw up my balance. So, and that came from having to have these learning curves, like you were saying, Wanda. It came from my kids and my husband coming to me and saying, we feel neglected, since he is always first in your life. So us telling you this now, before you hit that director status, you need to know, I will not neglect my family. I will not neglect, what's very important to me for Cincy business. And when you learn how to balance that, then that's going to be just beautiful. And when you teach that and be duplicatable to let your team know those date nights are important, that time with your family is important, do not let Cincy run you, then that's when you're going to have a very strong, they're not going to come back to you and say, I wish you would, because even I were talking to, right?
Yeah. Hey, Shannon, your camera went off. Okay, it's back on now. It's on now. We're good. For some reason it was off. So bizarre. I can't hear her now. Can I hear?
Zoom's doing its own thing.
One of the things that I hadn't touched base on with the whole consistency, we need to teach our downline that they need to understand that your success isn't based on one isolated event, like it's a marathon, not a sprint, right? that with continuous doing consistent things, teaching them that, these daily tasks, like this is why we have you guys doing your 5x5s, all those things consistently is going to add up and getting where you need to be. That's important. That's another part of the consistency, teaching them to be consistent, not just you being consistent in how you connect with them. And what time is it? Okay, so one of the last things I think we wanted to touch base on was the know when to move on. Know when to move on. I know this is a terrible analogy, so please don't think awful of me. But I worked with a doctor one time that was trying to give me advice back during a really, really bad relationship. And he said to me, Eva, sometimes when you get gangrene, you got to just cut it off. I was like, what? So not that harsh, but I've been there. I've had it where they completely suck the life out of you, right? No matter what you do. So you have to recognize that you just can't make anyone do anything. You can lead, but if one of your downline won't follow, it might be better use of your time to find more self-motivated people than to beat yourself up. It's true. Motivate those that want your help, that want to listen, that want to be there. Instead of trying to make these people work their business that don't want to. And it's as easy as doing what I just did. It's light bulb went off in my head yesterday. And I was like, I have some of these people that are so close to promoting and whatnot. And I keep trying to work with them, that person, that superstar consultant or whatever. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to reach below and try to build up. And that's when, you reach out to, just because you recruited Susie, right? You sponsored her doesn't mean you can't connect with those people as well and try to get everybody to work together. I mean, I understand you're not their director yet, but if you're communicating with her, saying, hey, do you mind if I help you with so-and-so, and trying to get her motivated and whatnot, they might say, sure, because guess what? It's a win-win for everybody. When you're helping the downline, they're all building up and building up and building up and building up. And it's as easy as sending that text or email or Facebook message that says, hey, I'm wanting to work with those that want to be worked with and make more out of their business. Is this just a hobby for you? Or do you want to really make something of this? Would you want to do this or that? See what they say. I sent out 28 messages yesterday. And I think, I'd say 10 people got back with me. The rest ignored me. And that's fine. I'm going to work with the ones that want to be worked with. And that's all you can do. That's really all you can do. Because we all get in that place where we're frustrated, right, Shannon? Yeah.
And we were talking about this earlier too. Do y'all remember when I was talking about the apples, the barrel of apples? You're going to have the red apples, you're going to have the green apples, and you're going to have the rotten apples in your business. The red apples are going to be the people that are like, I've seen you go on these trips. I've seen you lead this team. I want to be a director. Let's go. The green apples are going to be the people who need a little bit more time to ripen. They're going to need a little bit more instruction, but you're going to want to teach them to be duplicatable. And then your rotten apples are going to be the ones that just don't show up, don't do the things that they need to do. Always the ones that are going to terminate the third month out of the 1 out of 3 and reach out for help just so they can stay active.
And they always make excuses.
And they always make excuses.
And they never say anything on your group page unless they're complaining. Trust me, we've seen it.
Exactly. So what do you do with rotten apples? You throw them away. So that means that I'm sorry, but I've reached out to you. I've done this. I mean, you can't bring the dead back to life. And so it's like, unless you're Jesus, you just can't do it. And it's not possible. And I've had to really cut some ties and cut some, things with people that I really didn't want to, but they were just emotional vampires for me. And I would be drained and I'd be like, I don't even want to show up for this training call with this rock star because this girl drained the mess out of me. And I know it sounds horrible, but that it's how it is. You've got to look at this thing as, focus on the ones who are really working their business and focus on the ones who really want to, be something in this business. So that's right. Stop. He's having dreams. She's having dreams. My puppy's dreaming. So anyway, are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
All right. So it's 8:53. Do we want to move into the homework or do you want to?
Yep. We can move into the homework.
Okay. So do you want to tell them or you want me to tell them?
You can tell them because you have it written down.
Okay. All right. So for our homework tonight, we talked about connecting, right? We talked about the kind of leader that you need to be. We talked about the thermostat. We talked about, being duplicatable. We talked about all these things, right? So your homework is going to be, we want you to reach out to each person in your downline and find out 5 things about them. And then you're going to put it on the page, on our page of, if you have like 23 people or something in your downline, you're going to have a lot to write. But anyway, you're going to at least know that you did it. What? They can take a picture of a page, right, Eva? Something that they actually did it on, and then they can take a picture of it that they did it. Does that work? Are you there?
Yeah, it works. I'm getting ready to type this out for Wanda.
Okay. So first one's going to be, find out, are they team Starbucks or are they team Dunkin' Donuts? Meaning, do they like coffee or do they like tea? Okay. Second thing is going to be, what is their favorite store that they like to shop at? It might be Amazon. It might be Target. It might be Michael's. You don't know. Next, what's their favorite restaurant? Okay. So what is their favorite restaurant where they like to eat or where they'd like to go on a date night? What's their favorite candy bar? That's number 4. And number 5 is, what is their favorite scent? Does anyone know why we are getting you to do this? I want to see if you guys know why we're getting you to do this. I have a question. Okay, that's awesome. Gifts. Yeah, that's part of it. Team gifts. Recognition. Exactly. So whenever I have someone sign up, I have a team member sheet that I send out to them as well. And I find out these things. But here's the thing. A lot of you guys may not have done that yet. So we're starting you out with the easy way to start conversations with them. And the easiest way that you can do this is from bonding. Exactly. The easiest way to do it is to find out, I want to find out some things about you because I want to know more about you. What are these things? And then say, how's life? How's life right now? And give them a moment to tell you what's going on. That's going to give them a chance to feel like you are listening to them and that they're valuable to you. And when they start the excuses and everything, you can excuse us, start your coaching with them. But this is a way to be able to reach out to them and let them, see that you value them. Okay? Okay, Tim Hortons. Forgot they don't have Starbucks up there. But yeah, Tim Hortons.
We have Starbucks, but we don't have Dunkin' Donuts.
It's basically coffee or tea.
Yeah, coffee or tea, or just find out. And when they say, "Oh, coffee," say, "Well, where do you prefer to go? Are you a Starbucks or are you?" Then you can kind of add to it on that.
If you can send like Starbucks emails with.
Yep, I've done that. And they loved it. $5.
And you can send for tea or for coffee. So if they're not a coffee person, like Robin's not, you could send them little tea packets, and just say, are terrific or something. I'm just saying the candy bars, find out what is one. I can't think of one right now. I can't think of a candy for some reason.
You're welcome.
What'd you say?
I said, you're welcome, Wanda. She said, thank you for typing it out.
Okay, yeah. I cannot think of a candy bar. But whatever the candy bar is, they're shouting. You can actually play on the words of the candy bar, you actually send it to them. So, like right now, I'd have to do a whatchamacallit because I can't remember what the name of it is. But anyway, so you want to find out, you can connect with them. You can bond with them. It's not going to be a, hey, how many, recruits do you want to get this month? How much sales do you want to do this month? Because you haven't gotten there with them yet. You need to start with this first. Find out about them. Find out how to connect with them, and then those other questions will come naturally.
Yeah, and and I think this makes it like, and even the most negative type of grouchy, like non-positive person. I mean, how can you, if you're doing this type of thing with them? I think I call it kind of like a fun factor. Like who wouldn't want to talk with and chat with someone about something that's fun, that's making them think about the things they like them, but yeah, it's fun. It just creates a fun little conversation with them.
Yeah, I don't like candy bars either as much. I like Starburst and gummy bears. Even
I
as
like gummy bears. I love gummy bears.
Yeah.
Albanese gummy bears are the best. Now, if you guys want to know all my stuff, just message me. I will let you know. And I have a whole list of candy that I like.
yeah, and me too.
Caramel, dark chocolate.
Don't-
Yeah.
They don't like candy bars, and you know they like chocolate. Ask them what their favorite candy is. They'll
Yeah.
tell you they don't like chocolate. So you'll never make the mistake of ever sending them chocolate. So
Exactly. Because you know what? I've said to someone before, hey, do you want to meet at Starbucks? Oh, I don't drink coffee. Well, you know, they have tea there too or whatnot, but you got to kind of find out their thing. So, but yeah, that'll be fun. That's a fun homework assignment. See, we like to give fun homework assignments. I mean, we're not saying, we're just saying. I mean, we don't know if Robin's watching or not, but I had to put that in there. We love you, Robin. So anyway,
you.
we love you. Yep. We miss her. So, all right, guys. That's it.
So are there any questions about anything? See if there's any questions.
Lily's chocolate bar. I've never tried one. Send me one. I love chocolate. You're
So,
allergic to chocolate. Oh no, that's terrible. Terrible.
send her chocolate. You have to send her. So what she said, maybe we should mail one person or DD for fun with their favorite something. Yeah, I mean you can easily,
Mhm.
make this a game with different people. So
Yeah, absolutely.
okay, well, good. I hope that this
And you
helps.
know, it's something fun to even ask your customers.
Yeah,
Why not? Right? As a neat little thing for them, even put it in their bag with their order or something like that.
or the
Yeah.
with.
Their whiff box. Yeah, their whiff box. So, all right.
All right.
Well, thanks for joining us tonight. Thanks for always being there.
Sorry for the technical difficulties.
Yeah, for the snap, crackle, and pop.
Yeah.